Hello guys, while I would be doing schoolwork or either working on a video that would come out very much later, I was watching some clips of many times of VTubers talking about Manhwa, especially Murim Manhwa. And during the clips, I kind of realized, there's no video really explaining what the Murim world really is. So that's what I'm going to be doing instead of working on another webtoon video for it. When it comes to like martial arts in the Murim world, is more than like arms and legs. There's included like different weapons like the spear, dagger, bow, and etc. Like all weapons that exist will be used in the Murim world except for guns. Like any like modern invention like guns doesn't exist. And there's something called internal energy, which is key, which I'm sure you guys are familiar with, in their power system. And basically, the rankings, how it usually goes, is like third rate, second rate, first rate, masters, grandmaster, transcendent masters, or heavenly masters. And at that point, like the author can either go that path or just make up more ranks for the name. And when you get to a point where you just read a lot amount of I have, you kind of see like that in medieval where they have a mana compared to Murim where they have ki. That ki is usually stronger than mana and have a higher quality. And some of the benefits when it comes to having ki as your power system is like if your protagonist is a divine, that all people in this world can get stronger through enlightenment, so like a better understanding of I guess of their martial arts or just of how ki works. So it's just easier to write a protagonist out of a bind. Sects or clans of the Murim world aren't usually like small families like the 4-person families or those families you see on TLC like 21 and counting. They're much larger than that, like an army of people of the same surname. And they usually have a merchant base or martial arts or warrior base as part of their sect. And some of the common things, and when these comes to like the Murim world, like there's like some common like names you see around. Like the one is the Manhwas sect. Now, I don't know about it historically, but it seems like they have a big historical part to play in Korea since there's just seemed a lot around of different manhwas I read. And the legends that their sorcerers are so strong that their swords produce a blossom set to them. Then they produce strong warriors in the top 10 sects as well. Next we have the beggar sect. There isn't much to explain. They're beggars. They wear raggedy clothes. But what's important about the beggar sect is since they're like scattered around, they're like good information gatherers, and basically they sell information for a price. So like that's how they exist, and like they're mostly treated with respect depending on the manga you're reading. Next is the demonic cult, which the demonic cult is kind of confusing because depending on the version, either like the demonic or dark cults are the same, or the demonic and dark cults are two different things. But usually how it is, they're either opposing the good guys of the story, so they're usually placed as the bad guys depending on the manga you're reading. Next is a Nongum family, pronouncing their real name wrong. They're just a famous family. They're either merchants or irrigate martial artists, just depending on the manga you're reading. So that's just them about that. And there's also a set called the Poison Select. Usually there's like some master poisoner in manhwa and stuff like that. Don't think too much about it. They just go with poisoning, or sometimes they're bitch made and nano machine, but that's it. Or they're the homie in the Legend of the Northern Blade. Just depends on the manga you're reading. The last two sects we're talking about is like the Wandu sects, which just consists of sword fighters who just remain a virgin until death. Then there's a Shaolin Temple. Probably don't need to explain what Shaolin Temple it is. They follow Buddhism, and and sometimes depending on the one you read, they practice Tao martial arts. And I guess that all that needs to be said about them. It's very self-explanatory at that point. Let's talk about fractions in the Murim world, because like in our world, there's some type of politics involved. There's like the justice or orthodox path of the Murim world, which is meant to battle evil and protect innocent people. But usually there's something corrupt about them, or they're corrupt to the core. There's the evil or dark faction, which wants to gain as power as possible to control the world and bring it to destruction upon it. Then here's the demonic part, which, as I said, is a confusing part because depending on the amount of the dark cult of the demonic cult can be the same thing. But sometimes the demonic cult just isn't participating in the battles of evil versus good, but are just trying to gain as much power as possible dictated by their religion. Now let's mention the organizations of the Mar world. As I said before, I already mentioned some of them, which is the Justin Organization or the Nine Great Families. Sometimes when the Manhwa reading, there's several government empires, kingdoms, but they're usually not important in the story, or they just don't appear much. So just take them out your mind because they're just not that important. Just a few important terms to memorize is that Godly Doctor is just a legendary doctor whose skills are nothing short but godly. In the demonic cult, the Heavenly Diener is the leader, chosen by Sheer First as the leader of the cult. Though path following the yin and yang, the concept of yin and yang is a concept representing the energy of ice cold females and the energy of hot, furious male. So the term ki, chi, gi, and gi refers to the same thing as spiritual energy of the world. And also, there's something called dainty in the body, which stores keys, and if it is destroyed in a martial arts, it can lead to extreme pain and the loss of his martial arts ability. And that's all for a beginner guide for the Murim world. And before I leave, I'll just leave you guys off with some recommendation. So there's a Nano Machine, Infinitely Leveling Up Murim, The Legend of the Northern Blade, The Return of the Manhwas Sect, Lightning Degree, Rebirth Doctor, Murim Login, Chronicles of the Heavenly Demon, Return of the Bachelor, Legend of Ashura, Venom Dragon, Heavenly Demon Can't Live a Normal Life, Wizard Martial Arts World, Heavenly Martial Art God, Blowblade Spirit, Murmur of the War King, Path of the Shaman, Return of the Crazy Demon, Return of the Crazy Air, Undefeatable Swordman, Tale described he retired to the countryside, Monku the Origins, and Martial Artist Villainous, and I'm the Strongest, and Heavenly Inquisition Sword. And until next time.